Okay, so today we're going to be looking at a tutorial on one of your CSWA models. We'll begin by starting a new file. And as you know, I always like to show my planes when I begin a drawing. We'll set the material type. It's going to be aluminum 1060 alloy. Now we're going to set our document properties, set up the units to millimeter gram seconds. We're going to create an axis between the right plane and the top plane. Then we're going to use that axis to create another plane at an angle between it and the top plane at 52 degrees. Now I'm going to stretch my plane up a little bit, and then I'm going to verify that I did get the angle correct by clicking on Evaluate and then Measure, selecting both planes, and you'll see right there 52 degrees. Okay, so now we're going to begin our first feature. I'll select the top plane, create a new sketch. And the first thing I'm going to do is put a center line there because the feature is going to have symmetry. Draw a rectangle. And then I dimension it with a value of 40. And notice that I'm not concerned with the rectangle being symmetrical or where it's placed right now. So right now I'm selecting the two outside lines and the center line and applying symmetry. The circle on the end. Trim out the portions that I don't need, and then I'm going to verify that it is tangent on the ends. And you can also just verify that them lines are vertical. Then apply the length dimension. So it's going to be 120. And exit the sketch. Click on the Features tab, click on Extruded Boss or Base, and I'm going to go in both directions, so I'll select midplane and set the thickness to 14. Now I'll start on my second feature. So I select the plane that we created earlier at the 52 degree angle, and I'll look directly at that plane. Same deal, draw a rectangle, and then I'm going to force the constraints of collinear, or coincident rather, on both sides because it's the same thickness as the previous part. That eliminates a dimension. Draw my circle again. And trim out the sections that I don't need. Verify that they are all vertical, or apply tangency, and then add the dimension. Now with this dimension, it's going to be 122, but if I put an equals there, and then change the name to A, then that is going to put that dimensions in my equations over on my model tree, and we'll show you a little bit more about that later. So again, I'll go to Extrude, midplane, and 14. And that's the second feature done. So now I'm selecting the front plane, creating another sketch. I'm looking directly at it, going to my circle, selecting the intersection of the planes, and then I'll give it a diameter dimension. And set the dimension to 45. Go to my extruded boss, do midplane again, and then set the thickness. And in this case, I've got several dimensions, and rather than trying to figure out what that is, I just type the math equation in there to my dimension box. And now I'm going to add the 14mm dimension to my equations also, and change that to match what the test is asking for as value B. I'll do the same thing on the other extrusion. Just add an equals before the 14. That'll create an equation. And then I'm going to rename this one to B1. Now when I go to my equations, click on Manage Equations, you'll notice the two dimensions are in there. Now if I want B to be the same as B1, I can copy the name of that extrusion, place it next to the equal sign, and B will always be the same as B1 now, or vice versa. So I select my front plane, I'm going to create another sketch. I'm looking directly at the plane. And I'm going to start on the next feature. Notice that I exaggerate the lines and the angles. I will force these lines to be perpendicular or tangent afterwards, like now. So we're forcing that to be tangent. We're going to force these two lines to be perpendicular. Finish up my circle, so I have a closed loop. Trim out the back side of it. And now I'll add my two dimensions. So from the center of that arc to the edge of that feature is going to be 31.75. Then a dimension from the top of this surface to that point, and you'll notice that my sketch will turn completely black as it becomes fully constrained. Oops, nope. One thing missing, a parallel constraint. And now we're fully constrained. Exit the sketch. Go to extrude. And I'm going to extrude in two directions, and I'm going to go up to the surface. This just eliminates another dimension. So up to the surface here, on both sides. Hit the check mark, and that feature is complete. Since I'm done using my planes, I'm going to go ahead and turn them off by right-clicking in the little sunglasses icon there. And now I'm going to go ahead and add my 52-degree dimension to my equations list. This will make it easier for me to modify later. And I'll rename that to C. Right-click, Manage Equations. You can see that it's been added to my equation list. So later on, when I'm asked to change that, I'll be able to just click on my equations and modify that value. Okay. Select the plane, start a new sketch. I'm going to look directly at it. And we're going to start to create the little cutouts or indentations in the model. Use offset, set my distance to 9.5, and select the two edges I wish to offset. Draw a line. Notice I don't take the line all the way to the circle because I'm going to be adding a fillet later. Select the line, select this edge, make it collinear, and then I'm going to go ahead and add my fillet. Set the radius to the 7.5 value, and then click on both lines and check mark it. While I'm in the sketch mode, I'm going to go ahead and create my other two sketches for the cutouts on either side. So again, offset 7.5, draw a line. This time I'm going to take it all the way to the circle. And then I'm going to draw a circle so that I can completely enclose each loop. Select offset again. Select the bottom line, give a 9.5 offset, draw a line from that point to the circle, keeping it horizontal. Draw a line across the bottom, so I've got a closed loop. And then do the same on the upper sketch there. And then I'm going to trim out the portion of the circle so I have 3 complete closed loops. Fully constrained, I'll exit my sketch. Go to extruded cut with the sketch selected and set my depth to 9.5. Now I'm going to add my fillets. So I'll select fillet, set the fillet radius to 7.5, and then select all the edges that need to be filleted. And when we've selected all of the edges that we want to fillet, we'll hit the check mark in the fillet box. And next we're going to mirror the previous features. So we, in the model tree, select the cut extrude one and the fillet. Select the mirror command. Pick the front plane as our mirror plane. And as you can see, it's going to mirror about that plane. And it copies all of the previous features to the other side of the model. Now we'll select this surface and we'll add the holes. Set the diameter to 16. And versus doing a through-all cut, we're going to go up to the next surface. This way, if an angle is changed, that cut would not intersect with the bottom feature. Do the same thing on this bottom feature. Put a circle in, add the dimension, 16. Select extruded cut, and set it up to next, so it only cuts through to the next surface. Then one more hole, select the surface, draw a circle, add the dimension. Since there's no possibility of this feature interfering with anything else, we will do a through-a-hole cut. So now that our model is complete, we can go to the Evaluate tab, select our mass properties, and get a reading on the mass of the model. The second part of this test is going to ask you to make some modifications. Earlier, we placed 3 different dimensions into the equations. So we're going to right-click on equations, click on Manage Equations, change the A dimension, and we'll make it 110. We're going to leave the B dimension for this example, and we're going to change the 52-degree dimension 60 degrees. Hit OK. And at this point you'll want to regenerate the model just to be sure all them changes were applied. Go to Evaluate and select Mass Properties, and you'll see that your mass has changed.